Okay, ebuzoba makwaba sonkoso edeba POG Media so. Abusunya yembonra yensemu. Ablekuma North constituency rerunner eba abekosui abusunya Ablekuma North constituency youth no ebuofu electoral commission. Bossman Asare nensema odekotudwa ewo parliament oka say eba rerun of election last option omobeye na afi adinti na wasan so ababet na bonten chese wasan so abeda Ghana for say afi ye kwakoye rerun of elections in Ablekuma North na youth for no echa omoche say Bossman Asare ochen obi a oye NPP executive nti omu nhia no ewo Ablekuma North the very day na abato no bekoso no nti omo the strong warning akone so a youth no putting the life no in danger abusuya enye asam keto akwa nti no omo se omo nhia electoral commission Lyf-J.Mensa and Bossman Asare ewo ho nti no omo de sa warning we de ama Bossman Asare ne nkofo a enye asam keto akwa omo yenko na yenkonko tie constituency youth organizer ewo Ablekuma North for NDC nensema ode tuja medamase
Addo, constituency organizer for the NDC in Ablekuma North. Let's find out how they are taking this news of a rerun and how they are also preparing them. We'll come back in studio. Musa, hello, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. How are you doing?
So great, and I praise him with you.
Yes, we're all doing well. First of all, let me ask you, how do you take this news coming from the EC that there will be a rerun in some 19 polling centers in Ablekuma North?
Okay. As the constituency organizer of Ablekuma North, honestly, it came to us as a surprise because our position from day one has always been that we have 37 outstanding polling stations that are being contested for. In these 37 polling stations, the EC did not have any pink sheets available. NDC doesn't have, NPP equally doesn't have. So from day one as a party, we were calling for the running of this rerun of these 37 polling stations. That notwithstanding, the EC, per their directive, are telling us that they've accepted 18 scanned copies of MPP because their presiding officers who worked on the day came to verify. As a party, I also disagree with that. But for peace to prevail, for Ablekuma North to have a representative in parliament, as NDC, we are ready for EC to come and conduct these elections for the 19 polling stations. And my sister, as I tell you, even late as yesterday, we are on the ground. As I speak to you now, I am in Odoko. My parliamentary candidate is also in Kwashibu. We are on the grounds working. We believed we won the 7th December election. Our parliamentary candidate was declared the winner by the returning officer of Ablekuma North on the 10th of December. But the EC in 2 days' time came out and told the whole world that their returning officer declared under duress. Here we are today. We as a party are ever ready. We knew we won the election on the 7th December, and nothing by the grace of God would stop us from winning the 7th July election.
So, in fact, it would appear that you've been in campaign mode now longer than, in fact, all of your peers. 7 months on, you are still in the constituency, still wooing your constituents. You must be exhausted.
Very, very exhausted and very stressful. My sister, just put yourself in my shoe. As a constituency organizer who has never seen a win in the history of NDC in Ablekuma North for 28 years, elections upon elections, MPP win in this constituency without us causing any havoc. For the first time, we are winning the presidential and parliamentary election. Look at what MPP is taking us through. They are just bad lookers. Look, what happened in Ablekuma North, my sister? This is a constituency in the last election, 2020. The difference between NDC and NPP was over 24,000. For them to think this is their bona fide property and there is no way they could lose, that is what pains me. How can we win for the first time and you put us into this stress? In any case, I blame the EC. EC is, it is the EC that has brought us this far.
Well, let me ask you, Musa, what steps are you taking then to prevent and detect any malpractices during the rerun? Are you ever ready to ensure that you also play your part in ensuring a peaceful rerun?
For us, we are in power. We will not do anything to bring the name of the party in disrepute. All that we are calling for from the Electoral Commission is a free and fair election. And we expect the security agency to be in to give us the fullest protection so that these elections will be peaceful, devoid of any violence. We believe on any day, once the election is free and fair, with the goodwill and the good work of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, inshallah, there is no way we will lose any of the 19 polling stations that the EC wants us to go and rerun.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How will you respond then if the rerun results are again disputed? What are you going to do?
To be again disputed, you see, that is the background I'm giving you. Why is it that for 28 years, my sister, I know you've been in the media space for a long time. Have you ever heard in the name of Ablekuma ever when it comes to electoral violence? Why is the NPP, because they've lost the constituency for the first time, why are they taking us this truth race? Why are they bringing the name of Ablekuma now? We've always lived together as a family. Both NDC and NPP. What is free interest?
Well, she says she's the rightful winner. She says that even this rerun should not occur. She's won. They have their scanned copies, and one might even flip the script, Musa, and say that maybe it is you, the NDC, you are the ones causing the disturbances.
My sister, look, Ablekuma in the history of Ghana, there has not been any constituency that has gone through recollation. We had our recollation for 8 times. I had always maintained the position that without a rerun, there is no way Ablekuma a candidate can be declared as winner in Ablekuma. That is why we kept going for rerun upon rerun for 8 good times. We've been to the High Court, we've been to the Supreme Court more than 4 times on this same issue of Ablekuma. That is why I'm telling you, as a party, for the sake of peace, that is why we are accepting this 19 polling station. If not, we will also raise alarm for us to go for the 37 polling stations. But we want a representative in Parliament. We cannot be like Sir. Ablekuma has never missed an opportunity to have a representative in Parliament. Whether NDC or NPP, we want developments in Ablekuma. If we go into this election and NPP should go, fair enough, we all support APFA. In any case, we've supported them for the past 28 years. Why is it that when it is our term to also bring development in Ablekuma, they are stopping the NDC at all costs?
Well, come July 11, we'll really find out if it is your turn to take over the reins in Ablekuma. Musa, finally, just in about a minute or so, what is the message that you have for NDC supporters in Ablekuma ahead of the rerun?
My sister, I want to make this last point.
Sure.
If I was Bossman Asare, Mr. Bossman Asare today, I will resign my position as a commissioner.
Why would you resign?
Why
would you resign?
This is a man who went to Parliament, sat in front of Speaker of Parliament and parliamentarians, and told the whole world that rerun is the last option in Ablekuma. When indeed the commissioners themselves have not taken a final decision. You see, the likes of Bossman Asare can bend Ghana down.
No, Musa, I think let's calm down. Let's calm down. There might have been some inconsistency in the communication, but I think to assert that he would see this nation bend is scathing. Withdraw that, please.
Okay, I withdraw that.
Thank you.
But as a senior journalist, what he did is that what a senior statesman should do, a senior commissioner at the Electoral Commission. Why Why should you come and state your personal position as the position of the EC? You see, the position he stated in Parliament, when the EC met IPAC, all parties were asked to bring their proposals. MPP said we have 3 outstanding police stations. NDC said we have 37. Why did he only take MPP's position into Parliament when the commission have not started to even give a ruling on what the proposal the 2 parties brought?
So you say there have been some unfairness in the dealings between yourself and the EC?
That is it. That is it. Because
right.
this directive that came from EC is far different from what Mr. Bossman presented in Parliament.
Certainly, but at least now we have that rerun date.
We are also not happy with his attitude, and we are sending a strong warning. He should stay clear from the rerun of Ablekuma North.
When you say stay clear, what exactly do you mean? You don't want to see him in the constituency? What do you mean by that? He has acted more like an MPP executive than an EC commissioner. Musa, let me take your final words and your final message for NDC supporters in Ablekuma North in terms of their temperament on the day and also how you wish for them to conduct themselves so that the rerun is smooth.
As constituency organizer, I'm appealing to all the rank and file of our supporters to remain calm. Elections is not about war. We are going for elections. There are 2 things involved. We either win or we lose. It is our prayer that God will be on our side to win, and then our parliamentary candidate, Honorable Rabina Obin, will be declared. In any event it doesn't happen, we still have a government to run. And I believe whatever development that Ablekuma North deserves, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will make it available for us. So all our supporters, let's remain calm. Let's go around with our normal ways of campaigning. And I know we have a superior campaign strategy on the ground to win the election any day against the MPP.
Certainly, Musa, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning. I know you still have some time to, shall I say, parade in the constituency. Musa Adamu is also the MCE of the area. Thank you so much for your time and for that key message about peace in the constituency. You were just listening there to Musa Adamu. He's the constituency organizer, also the MCE in Ablekuma North. And he says that the campaigning is still very much ongoing. Late last night, he was still in the constituency, wooing the constituents, asking them to vote for the preferred candidates. And gentlemen, you said it here, that in fact, come July 11th, some people will be very happy to be able to just relax.
In fact, I didn't land when you...
Yes.
Unfortunately, yes. So please, let's go back.
But, my dear Helen, in fact, I think you have another gift. You should have trained as a medical doctor.
Emmanuel, where's this one coming
because
from?
You saw the organizer temperament high, and you are asking him to advise his constituency over temperament. You see that right away, he came down.
Tactics.
Thank you for that. Tactics.
Most welcome.
In fact, you know what, Helen? I want to give this unsolicited advice to MPP. Their boycott of media genre is a huge disservice to the party. Media genre is a huge media house you cannot play with. And you see, when we talk about arrogance of power, this is one of the indicators of arrogance of power, especially in a democracy. Look at the unfettered free airspace you gave it to the organizer. If MPP hadn't boycotted media genre, they would have been given a fair hearing. Now, who calls them? Someone will say.
And shall I say, even as this conversation is going, I'm still committed to balancing the conversation.
Yes.
I won't talk more about how I'm doing so, but I'm on the phone lines to always balance the conversation. All those who want to express their views,
so see,
we are here.
If MPP members are calling in, why would their leaders even say that they are boycotting media general. You see, Honorable Patrick Bawumia.
Yes.
Look, he's one of the most respected persons standing in NPP today. I listened to him, and he was even talking about how they can get consultants.
Communication consultants.
In fact, I was watching him. He said, so they learn how to talk.
Look, in fact, that gentleman should be taken very serious. He has the Akuffo's kind of magic. Yeah. And that is what the MPP needs now. Seriously. And I think that Honorable Dompré made a statement that one of his greatest regrets is portraying himself as an aggressive person. And let me tell you, Honorable Dompré was my junior Bishop Herman. He was a very quiet, shy person.
Impossible.
I'm telling you honestly. When I see Dompré in Parliament, the things he does, I say, wow. So now back to what we're talking, subject matter. So the argument for political compromise, and that's so interesting. Inconsistent standards. So if verification was the core issue, why weren't all 37 stations subjected to the same standard? Very legitimate question. So the selective approach suggests what? Political calculations. Delay justice, I mentioned that. 7 months without representation indicates EC prioritizing consensus burden over constitutional obligation to timely representation. And that is very serious when we don't obey our laws, especially EC as an independent body. Now, precedent concerns. The decision establishes that verification failure can trigger reruns, and that is what we are having now, potentially encouraging future challenges to close what? Elections. So, because of time, let me talk about the High Court interventions. You see, it took the High Court to compel the EC to complete collation. Is that not the case? Yes. You saw the intransigent position of the Electoral Commission. And I don't think that an independent body as same should be compelled by the High Court to perform functions otherwise they were mandated to do. So in all of this, rerun is the way forward. But listen, I think it should be a complete rerun and not the selected. Otherwise, the targeting may disadvantage the other polling stations because they are still in campaigning most. Now they will pay a lot of people school fees and give more freebies, TVs and whatever will flow.
They are going to enjoy.
And NDC is going to make use of its incumbency.
And by that, what do you mean? They've got the fiscal muscle.
Yes. Now they are in government. Look, the the constituency organizer you spoke with is now the MCE.
Indeed.
The chairman of the Security Council of the Metropolis, having all the levers of powers in terms of governance. So if you are MPP, what will you say? I don't want to run. And now who calls him? Isi Kosam.
Solomon, now who calls him?
Isi Kosam. Isi Kosam. I mean, if they had been fair to the whole process, we wouldn't get to where we are. And I believe that the NPP must organize itself and go into this election. This is not going to be the first time it will lose a seat or win a seat, depending on this kind of strategy that you put on the ground. The only challenge here is that in the past, the party had gone to town to campaign in by-elections that once they were incumbent, developments, or rather the president would be listening to a candidate that was from their camp rather than from the other side.
Right.
So if you flip the coin today, then you cannot go back and change that campaign that you have run in the past. And that is why I see Akuffo sees the trouble ahead.
That's why she's resisting
absolutely
this rerun.
Because she has spent a lot. She put in a lot of money. It's unfortunate, but I mean, we have to do what is right to save our democracy. No if feelings. I don't have any interest in there. The only interest I have there is that we select the right MP to go to Parliament and represent us well. I have set time with that number that if we were going to do evaluation of the members of Parliament, I had a problem with my former MP, what's the name, Dakwa Newman. She would never address the constituents. She would never alert us on anything. She did things on her own. No wonder she was booted out. Now you bring in a new one, he's also doing the same thing.
Sense of entitlement.
You are not able to approach your
You don't
MP.
even have a clue as to what is happening. You know, it is not for me to be approaching the MP. The MP must have a conscious effort, a strategy to be addressing the constituents, ways and means of letting the constituents know what
we don't have that culture in our part of the world, where, for example, we were told about this 1 Ghana cedi per fuel levy. In a different jurisdiction, your member of parliament would have convened a meeting, maybe in a church building, in a school building. You can send. These days we're in a technological era. You've got when it's time for the election, they were texting me.
Yes,
Bawumia was texting me on Monday. The other candidate texting me on Tuesday. We can employ.
I'm happy you are bringing this. I mean, they are only interested in our votes. They are not interested in our concerns. And I believe that going forward, electors must open their eyes. Because you see, the legislative arm of government is so crucial, so critical. To pass a budget, you need the legislature. To pass Supreme Court judges, you need the legislature. So they are a check of both organs. And if you have members or people over there, most of whom the real reasons for going to parliament is not to serve the people, but to open avenues, other economic avenues. A lot of them go to parliament with their briefcases looking for businesses. If you want to be a businessman, come to the private sector, let's do business. And let those that want to serve the people of this.
Okay, abusua we ne ensema ekoso ewo political highway so eye constituency youth organizer na yete ne nka ache so odisa strong warning no de ma eye Bossman Asare ne se wafa adwempo bi se oberegi elections no de ama Ablekuma North anase de ama NPP amanyoku na ene omonso no omo strategy bia omo de egu akwamu bia no omonso ebo se adwuma na ebeda mase se moje pene kokoti sa ensemwe ede mai aha POG Media so medamase.